Computer. So, hello, Mariano.
Yeah,
How are you?
I'm fine. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for joining my interview series.
My pleasure.
Um,
Thank you for
yes,
inviting me.
I think you're a very interesting person. And well, for those who don't know you, can you please introduce yourself shortly?
Yes. Well, I'm Mariano Laplume. I'm originally from Argentina. I'm currently living in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam. I'm a tango dancer, performer, and was also musician. And yeah, I'm also Alexander technique teacher. And yeah, this is my professional life.
Yes, and these are well. That's are a lot of things we want to discuss today. So you look like a very versatile type of person, and so you were maybe part of the introduction. So you were in the Sexteto Milonguero as a violin player, right?
Aha, that's right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people find that interesting as well. So let's explore your story. So can you tell me a bit about the origins of everything?
Uh, well, I started as an artist playing the violin first, originally in my late teenage years. And I was studying at that point philosophy and then sociology. And I sort of fell in love with the violin. I started when I was 19, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, at some point I left my career in the university for playing the violin. I had a fortune to find a very good teacher, a very good maestro, I can say, and he guided me properly. And yeah, after a couple of years, I was already playing also the viola, and yeah, started to prepare to play in classical music orchestras. I could get into the Colón Theater in Buenos Aires. There was a youth orchestra. I was playing there for a couple of years, playing classical repertoire, learning a lot, having great experiences there, and then uh, slowly getting into the classical music world. And in one of the orchestras where I was playing, there was a friend who um, asked me if I wanted to play in a tango orchestra. That was, of course, tango familiar to me, but I was not playing at that point. That was around when I was 23, 24, more or less. And yes, I decided to go to have a try, to go to see. They used to play Pugliese style. The orchestra was called Orquesta Típica Imperial. And yeah, I like it. And because of my formation as a classical musician, yeah, I could afford to play tango. I had to learn the style, obviously, and it's not that easy. Um, but very soon after that, I was already full member of the orchestra. We started to travel in Europe. I also started to dance, but just with leisure intentions. I was just a milonguero. And then, yes, my career started full on with tango. In that orchestra, I was playing the viola. Then I played the viola in an orchestra in the Academia Nacional del Tango. And with some of the musicians of that orchestra, we got together and we started the Sexteto Milonguero. This was around 2007, more or less. And there I was playing the viola for a bit, but for musical reasons, it was more convenient to be playing the violin and not the viola because we were only two strings. So Marisol, my good friend and colleague, as a first violin, I was playing the viola and then the second violin. alongside, of course, of two other bandoneons and the piano and contrabass and the
Sorry, you
singer.
were the first or the second violin?
Second violin.
Okay.
Yeah, second to Marisol Canessa.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna go back in time a little bit. So I find it quite interesting that you said you started playing violin at 19 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, usually people who are into music, they start as a child, and often these people who start as a child, they stop playing when they're teenagers or when they're in puberty, and
Yeah.
then they stop with it for the rest of their lives, or sometimes they pick it up again. But you are actually someone who started it quite late and then did it successfully. I mean, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I was quite ignorant of that fact. I later learned that most people, as you said, they stop playing when they are in the early 20s because they are not interested, or they are not good enough, or they think they are not good enough, let's say. And I was starting when everybody was stopping. Um, but my teacher he was very supportive. He encouraged me, and he guided me. I was with the violin, and he said, maybe if you play the viola or you play both instruments, you will have more chances to get into the musical world, because the viola is an instrument that is a little bit more it's known, but it's rare. Less people play the viola. And at that point, yeah, I was fine with that idea, and I like it, and I play both instruments, but professionally I developed the viola more. And he was right. And very soon after, I was working and yeah, touring Europe, something that with the violin it would have been much more difficult. And at the same time, in popular music, if you have initiative, if you have good ideas, and you work hard, you can make your life through that. Uh, I think classical music is a little bit more difficult because most, unless you have a like super high level and you have your own quartet or you are a soloist, um, you have to work through institutional um, framework. So it's more difficult to reach. The competition is very high, but if you play tango or folklore, you form your band. If you do the right thing, you create something that is beautiful for people, meaningful. Yeah, you can make a living. Uh, at least you can start to make a living until you you are full on into the music. And that's what I did. The orchestra was already playing, but we used to do a lot of stuff alongside, like organizing our tours. We used to have a milonga in San Telmo in Buenos Aires. We used to play in the streets, something I really liked.
Which orchestra is this exactly?
Orquesta Típica Imperial.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So we were a cooperative, self-made orchestra. Yeah, and that was a very good experience to understand how to make yourself an artist first, but also like a worker, no, a worker artist.
Yeah.
And that was yeah, very good base for my later experiences in tango. That's how we work. No, you organize your stuff. There are no frame, external frame. I mean, like in classical music or in ballet or in other dances where you have institutions that they take care of the organization if you want to be full-on dancer, no? Of course there are some gray areas, but in tango for sure you have to do it most of the time. Most musicians are organizing themselves.
So they're
And
entrepreneurs in a way.
yeah, exactly, entrepreneurs,
Okay.
and also dancers, especially dancers more than musicians even.
What do you mean with more dancers than musicians?
Well, because with if you're a musician, there are some professional orchestras in Buenos Aires, for example, where you can get in, and once you are there, the Orquesta de Tango de la Ciudad, for example, if you are there, you yeah, you are part of the staff, so um, you can take like it's an institution. No, you don't have to organize it.
Yeah.
And there are other orchestras also like that in Buenos Aires. And also you can work in casas de tango, that is like tango shows for tourists. So if you are good enough, you can get into that world. Artistically, it's a little bit, it can be a little bit boring, depending, because if you play every day the same things over and over for years, of course, it's not so enriching, but it helps with the bills.
Yeah, the wheels. Yeah. So sorry, let me go back to the beginning. So I'm very intrigued by why did you start with music at that age? I mean, just to highlight the thing, like when children learn how to play an instrument, they're usually inside this framework of what your parent wants for you, whatever. But when you're 19, you have to work on your own discipline and your own. I mean, that's a totally different matter.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, I get it. Well, in my family, I had no was like a working class family, super nice but super simple in that sense. So I
no
had
music background.
no music background,
Okay, yeah.
not a lot of stimulus in that direction.
No.
I was interested myself in growing intellectually, artistically, and I started to to read, to listen music, to go to concerts, to open myself to the world of art. And in one of these many things that I was doing in my teenage years, I crossed through an orchestra that is, I can't remember exactly the right moment when I decided to do it, an orchestra called Camerata Lisi Gestad, that is a chamber music orchestra directed by an Argentinian violinist that now is passed away a while ago. And I saw them playing in Buenos Aires. They are from Switzerland, it's based in Switzerland. I saw them say, I want to do that. And the funny story about that is this guy, Lisi, he was an international violinist recognized. And my first concert in the Cologne Theater, he was the soloist. This is a complete random thing. It was so I got what I wanted. I wanted that. I got it 3 years after, and yeah, basically my own intuition, my own curiosity pushed me to start to learn. Of course, I was aware of tango, I was aware of classical music, but I had no very strong presence in my house or in my family
No.
regarding that. So yeah, it was my own initiative.
Okay, so well, that also answers the question about your family background, about music and your background. So there's no one. It's always interesting to ask, but there's no one like an uncle or whatever, someone who's really musical, or
No,
no signs of that.
no. A great grandparent of mine, someone in my family far behind in the past, was a director of classical orchestra, but someone that I never met.
Okay.
So it's not, it has no influence
Okay.
on me. Yes, I had very little contact to music in
Okay.
my house. Yeah. My mom used to listen a lot of Greek music because
Okay.
she has some Greek origins, but nothing very strong in relation to tango or classical.
Okay, and then so that's the last question of this topic. So what is your relationship to tango? Like, you told us that you got into playing tango because someone asked you or offered something, and then you kind of rolled into it. But like, what is did you know anything about tango before? Like, I think it's very interesting, especially when I have people from Argentina on my show, because it's a bit more natural to them than people from elsewhere. Um, but like, is there something something you can trace in the past?
Well, tango, of course, as you said, is a something that is there in the background for all of us, especially people from Buenos Aires. We all knew that exists, and you hear tango is in your, we say, in your ear all the time, but you can't live your life without getting into that. Actually, despite what most people think about tango. Tango is a very small niche thing now, culturally speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, young people, my generation, don't listen tango. Very few people do it. It's more like middle class educated. It's not a popular as it used to be in the 40s. Of course, this is my opinion. Some other people might say something different, but folklore, Argentine folklore, is 1,000 times much bigger and is completely alive. It's something that keeps growing. For example, I also dance folklore. That's why I know a little bit more. Festivals in Argentina, thousands of people, tens of thousands sometimes.
Yeah.
And tango festivals, there are just a handful of them. The most important, of course, in Buenos Aires, but some people know that there are milongas here and there, but it's not. It doesn't have the presence that we might think from Europe.
Yeah.
But it was always there, and to be fair, it was. I learned to love tango the more that I learn about it, playing, about the characters, the musicians, the dancers. I love more, and then I got into the poetry, into the dance, and now I can say I have to be true to myself. I'm a milonguero. No matter what I do, my attitude, my view of life is a very tanguero view, we can say. No, you read. I used to read. I don't know, Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, and God knows who else. In tango, we have a philosophy, a drama, everything that is in life that other cultures try to explain with maybe philosophy and also art. Well, we have that in tango also. So there's nothing less than other cultures. It's just a different expression. It's an expression that has our own, we say, criollo way of looking. It's the universe, the life, and I'm satisfied with that view. It's not, of course, it's not completely closed for me. There are many other things, but I read the poetry and it really resonates with me.
Yes.
And also the music, everything is. It's not just popular thing. Sometimes popular is pointed as something that is less important than the academic or the classic world, and I don't think that's the case. Tango is very complex. It could be very complex. Of course, you can be Chan 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 D'Arienzo, but you have also Pugliese or Francini or Gobi, and yes, chamber music.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I don't think it has. We don't have anything to envy to other cultures. Also, in terms of poetry, in very short phrases, they say something that is really resonates, and I'm satisfied with that view.
Yes, and it's very sad in a way that it's only this very niche thing in Argentina. Even though I have to say that I don't know what generation it is, maybe people who are 70 or something. A lot of those people, I think they still listen to certain singers that are not very interesting for dancers like us, but so they might have a bit more access to tango than young people. But in general, it's just not recognized really as the folklore of Buenos Aires, which it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that you are from Buenos Aires, right?
Yeah, I'm from Buenos Aires.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like your native culture as well, but you had to find it yourself because it's so hidden from the mainstream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's very, very strange in a way that how society lost contact to the contact with those roots. Or they didn't, like with the countryside music, so to say. Maybe they didn't, but with the music of Buenos Aires, they lost the connection, and it's very sad in a way.
Yeah, I think what is part of the cultural imperialism of the central countries, no?
Yeah.
That's this is not a hidden secret that radios are like pumping us with all the US or English music. I don't have anything specific about against that, but yeah, they fill all the space, so there is no space left for regional cultures, and of course, yeah, that affects tango and other musics in other places. No,
Yeah.
I, yeah, I have a very uh, almost a militant position in regard to this, because I see that tango has a value of the variety of something different, something very specific expression of the spirit that is not in pop music, because to learn tango you need to put time. It's not just going for a drink. You need to put effort and involve your consciousness into that. And yes, like appreciation of any kind of art, the more complex, you need to put more effort into that. And I think that that is very valuable and creates beauty.
Yes. Yes. Well, let's go back to your violin years, or viola years, violin musician years. So you became a musician, and it's quite anyway. Apparently, you were pretty talented because you went you took it up as a career pretty quickly. I think without going to a conservatory, right?
No, no, I studied privately, mainly instrument. I studied some theory, music theory, but I knew I was a little bit late, so-called late. So I had to really work hard in the instrument, in being able to execute uh, properly the music. Of course, all the rest is very important, but if you know the other part, the theory, but you cannot play, or you cannot be a musician. So I put all my energy into learning to play the instrument. Yeah, I studied really hard for many years. Well, all musicians start really hard for many years, but if you start when you are 8, of course the results are different.
Yeah.
Your brain, your body is completely different and fresh when you are 8 than when you are 20. You know? Yeah, but I really like it. I was committed. I was very disciplined. I had good guidance, and yeah, I liked what I was doing. And of course, tango was an opening to me, um, to other cultures, to meet people from other places. It was very rich, so I was also stimulated by that.
Yes. Yes. Um, but was it in a sense like was it harder for you to compete because you started later with people who maybe started when they're 8, or was that not the case? Did you catch up with them?
Um, well, I chose my battles carefully
Yeah.
to go in the directions where I thought it was more meaningful and I had more chances. That's why I studied the viola. That's why I put a lot of focus in learning the instrument. Um, so
And tango as well. That's
yeah,
also why I chose tango, right? Because there were more possibilities in that.
yeah, tango of course is very difficult to play like any genre, and it needs to you need to be a good instrumentist, but uh, you have the chance to be entrepreneur. So in the meantime, when you become a better musician, um, you can evolve uh, while you are doing, of course, the process of learning, and you can also organize yourself. Um, yeah, as I said, you choose your battles. I didn't expose myself to challenges that were so far beyond my um, possibilities. I was very realistic in that sense. So yeah, it was very every step was consciously decided, and as I said, I have very good guidance. So when somebody is telling you the way, um, you make less mistakes.
Yes. But did this guy also help you with the transition into being a tango musician?
Hmm.
What was he also? Did he also know about tango?
Yeah,
His mentor.
yeah, he knew about tango. My teacher, he knew it, and he used to play also tango, and yeah, but he was more a classical musician,
Okay.
and yeah, he knew that learning the fundamental technique, it was the most important thing to play. Classical, tango, folklore, whatever you want. So he was very specific about where should I be pointing my energy and not be dispersed. So yeah, in that sense, it was very. Uh, I can say it changed my life. Everything that happened after that, um, it was by his intervention, and I'm very grateful for that. And I was lucky to have colleagues that were very good musicians around me, and I learned a lot. And I had the chance to learn. They gave me time to learn through the process, so that was very good. And of course, I put my part, but you need to have that opening. You need to have the chance, no? Obviously. So in that sense, yeah, it was a bit of luck, a lot of effort, and being in the right time with the right people.
Yeah. But you mean that when you were starting as a tango musician, you were able to be an entrepreneur in a certain sense, so you were able to make money for yourself while you were learning to become better as a tango
Yeah,
musician.
yeah, exactly. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay. Yeah, that's great because then maybe you don't feel as much pressure as when you're doing this classical music stuff and you're competing with so many people at the same time. um, and that's yeah, that's the problem. Like a lot of people are doing classical music, and a lot of people are good at it. And then if you want to compete with them, I suppose it's harder to really stand out. And when you're interested in something like tango, if you're able to impress the people you want to work with, then there's probably, because there are just fewer people like you than when you're playing classical music. I mean,
yeah,
that's the point.
yeah.
So
But I think there's almost a difference of nature of what you do. In the sense that when you play classical, the setup is already there. You are not playing. Very rarely you play new compositions. So the structure, you enter to a structure that is solid. Is there, Beethoven, Bach, Mozart. You are in a piece. You enter, and that's it.
yeah,
Unless you are a super musician and you are or a composer. Um, but in tango, you have the chance to change things. You can be a composer. You can organize an orchestra that plays one style or other style. And in classical music, unless you are like a super star musician, it's rare that you can do it, at least in a way that it has certain transcendence. No, I know musicians who have their own quartet formations or chamber orchestras, but the competition, as you say, is very high,
yeah.
and the space is very small. Uh, there are not so many stages where there are classical music, at least in Buenos Aires, being played. There are, but not as tango, for example. You have 100 milongas in Buenos Aires, I don't know, 150. And you don't have 150 theaters for classical music. So the pool is much bigger. Um, and as I said, I think it goes through two different kind of channels. The classical music world, and this is of course my opinion, is a institutionalized thing, and the tango is more alive in the sense that few guys, girls, they get together, they say, let's play Sexteto Milonguero, let's do that. And yeah, if people likes it, you create something. Oh, Sexteto Milonguero, or Cachivache, or La Juan D'Arienzo, I saw them like a week ago. I really like them. Um, so, or I don't know, El Arranque. or any of these new orchestras that play original music, you have the chance to put your personal imprint much more than in classical music.
Yes.
And there's a feedback because you know the people who write the lyrics, you know the people who compose the music. They get together, they create something new, you test it, you make the arrangement. So it's, in that sense, it's much more creative for me.
Yes.
And of course, to compose a symphony, you need a level of knowledge that not everybody can reach. But to compose a tango, well, you need less. Of course, if you have the knowledge to compose a symphony and you compose a tango, this tango probably is going to be more rich. But uh, not all the musicians, the composers of tangos, were great. Um, we had a great knowledge about theory in music. At least not in the beginning. No. So there is sort of an organic growth that you can get through tango that in classical music, at least in my appreciation, you already have to be in a level to start to have a like smaller chance of growth. It's a different kind of thing. And tango is a culture. This is how we live our life. We express our happiness, our joy, our sadness, our you feel not good, you go to the milonga, you meet your friends, you dance a couple of tandas. This is complete. It's a whole experience for me, tango, that it doesn't finish into the music or even the dance. I know tangueros that they are the more tangueros than I am, and they don't dance tango. And I think there is like perhaps a misunderstanding outside of Argentina, like all the tango that exists is the tango that is being played in the milongas, and that's not the case. There is so many different variations in all the group combinations that you can imagine, and it's tango, and that's part of our culture because you can go to a bar. I don't know, this bar de Roberto, for example, in Almagro in Buenos Aires. I used to go there very often because I live very close, and there are two guitars playing, and if you want to sing, you can sing, and that's also part of experience. And nobody's dancing, maybe sometimes now, but nobody's expecting to the music to be fine for dancing. Here in tango, I know it because I'm an organizer. Well, I cannot play that kind of music. I cannot play Gardel. I don't know, to say something, no? If I play Gardel, people are always saying, what's going on here? They need Tanturi, they need this, and I understand also that I want Arienzo and Tanturi, and maybe not Gardel in my milonga, but the experience of tango is much wider than the orchestras that we know, the setup that is being created, no, in now, especially when I was these last 2 years of Corona, I've been preparing my talks, my tango talks, and I did a lot of research, not only about the music but about history, culture, politics, everything around what created the conditions for tango in the early 20th century, and how was society changing in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, 40s. And yeah, there was tango and almost nothing else. It's tango. You go to the bar, there's tango. There's guitars playing. You go to you just put on the radio, De Angelis is there. You go to the milonga, early milonga, Orquesta de Señoritas playing. You go at midnight, D'Arienzo, Troilo, or who, God knows how many orchestras playing. So there was nothing else. There was jazz orchestras and some other stuff, but tango was omnipresent. No, like now is pop music. Well, that was tango. There was nothing else. So of course, not everything was minded in the frame of tango for the milonga. The expression, the palette was much wider, and that's I think what makes tango so rich.
Yeah, I heard from someone recently, I don't remember who, but he was talking about his uncle who really loves Gardel or something like that.
The what?
his uncle really loves Gardel, so that's apparently he has an uncle who just spends all his time listening to Carlos Gardel, and that's something, you know, that's just, another example of what you're saying. That is more than just the dancers in many ways. Um, yeah, that's very interesting. I could say more about this topic, but let's. I would like to hear more about like so this career as a musician. So you went on for quite a while until you switched careers.
Hmm.
So at some point you started with the Sexteto Milonguero, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
can
right.
you tell us a bit more about this that era of your life?
Yeah, well, that was around 2007. We started. We knew most of the musicians. I knew them from when I started playing tango. And I remember yeah, by initiative of Javier, that was the singer of the sexteto, we were playing all together in this orchestra in the Academia Nacional del Tango, and then the orchestra stopped playing, and he said, I would like to do something for dancing that is good. He was a milonguero, he's a milonguero, so he liked it. To go to El Beso, Cachirulo, all these milongas in Buenos Aires. She said maybe we should do something like that, no? Playing the music for the milonga, music for dancers, um, but not only one style, not taking Pugliese or taking D'Arienzo, whichever. And we were already in contact. I was very close to Marisol. And we had a lot of experience in organizing, because we were already organizing our own tours and our concerts. We were our managers, let's say, in the Orquesta Imperial and a little bit in the other orchestra in the Academia. And yeah, very soon that started to work. That was a very good idea. He had good, we say, sense of smell that was missing, um, in the tango stage, and we at the same time we were hungry. In both ways, we were like spiritually hungry and a little bit uh, poor. So we had a lot of time and energy to spend, and to create that. And yeah, very quickly we met a lot of people in the milongas. We decided to organize our tours. We had some contacts from before, some friends, and that was very enriching experience. And we were, yeah, super happy that there was a good response from the public. And of course, with time we refine our search, what we wanted to give, and by having the feedback of people. And yeah, I remember everything happened so sudden, was so fast, uh, that we got, as a reference, we got our CD, the first CD that we record, the night before traveling to Europe. So it was, everything was super crazy, and we were very, yeah, overwhelmed of work, but it was very exciting time. And yeah, in Buenos Aires we were playing 3 4 nights a week. It changed my life. I was just sleeping crazy hours like any milonguero. And yeah, slowly we became more um, professional in how to organize ourselves, how to deal with organizers. uh, I don't know, the music, the clothing, the uh, rehearsals, going to radios, all this. And yeah, it worked quite well. I think we got a good time for tango. That late 2000s was um, still the wave of tango nuevo, and a lot of young people very much alive. And we jump into that island, and into that wave, um, even if we were playing traditional tango for milongueros. So that was the idea. And yeah, the format was good. We were a small group, so we were quite flexible, and we always thought in the practical. Uh, myself, I thought in the practical aspect of what I was doing, and I think the sexteto was very good in that sense. Mm, and yeah, it was nice also experience. All the musicians were bringing arrangements. There was like a shared um, directorship, uh,
Okay.
although they were mainly the pianist Gervasio, that is also a good friend, and he lives in Europe now, in Germany, and Mauricio in the bandoneon. They were mainly guiding, also Marisol sometimes, also Javi. So it was like a very nicely balanced, uh, artistically speaking, and yeah, that was the yeah was very fast. Everything happened very fast. In 3 years, we were like doing 3 month tours with 40 concerts in Europe, and the group, they went to China, they went to the US. I wasn't there already. I left before that, but US, China, Central America, traveling in Buenos Aires, they were also um, still very famous, even until very recently. And yeah, I think was for me was a great experience of artistic experience and learning experience, and knowing the things that I wanted, but the things that I didn't want. So balance.
And what do you mean with that?
Well, for example, traveling is fantastic, and that's great, but it um, has a big toll, emotional toll.
Yeah, yeah.
This is something that most musicians don't share, and even dancers, because you are far from home, you are not in your environment. It's exciting up to a certain point, because yeah, you sleep very badly. I remember the feeling of being almost continuous hangover without drinking,
Okay.
because of the traveling. And when you are in your 20s, you can hold it, early 30s, but yeah, now I'm happy that I'm not doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, but of course, it has all the artistic and social aspect that is great. You are partying, you are playing, people like you, you are special. Everywhere that you go, you are special, and that doesn't happen everywhere
No,
in life.
no, no. But it does take its toll.
Hmm. Yes, yes, and at the same time, tango has a very low roof, in the sense that um, having a balanced life work-wise is difficult, especially if you travel a lot, for family reasons, for example. That was one of the reasons why I stopped playing, because I got married. I said, well, if we want to have family, this kind of life is a little bit difficult to reconcile. Having children and being away 3 months is a little bit complicated long term.
Yeah.
So you can do it a couple of years, but yeah, and some people do it, and that's fine. But that was not uh, my idea when I was having a family. So that was one of my reasons why I stopped playing. Not only that, but one of it.
Okay. So you so how many years did you last in the Sexteto Milonguero?
I think it was around 5 years, more or less.
5 years. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Uh, so you had quite a big role, even though you weren't maybe the director, but you still played an important role in the.
Yeah, well, I was the musician with the second violin. I did my part, and then I was part of the organizing team of the tours.
Ah, yeah. So
That
you
that
also did a bit of management.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
had that. The more than uh, time was passing, we had to settle the roles more clearly, more defined. So uh, having one person having responsibility on this area, and other person So we everything was clear, and we could organize, um, and be more professional in organizing ourselves, no, because that's a need. You don't want to miss a flight, you don't want to, you don't you want to have a place to sleep when you are in Europe, or if something happened with the car, whatever, no, very
Yeah.
practical things, but that not nobody, um, nobody knows that this exists, or they know it, but if something goes wrong, you notice. You don't notice when everything is fine.
Yeah. But that's not how life is, right?
Hmm.
You know, you're always gonna experience turbulence.
Yeah, yeah. And I learn a lot, as I'm a cat now. I say I can't fall standing, because yeah, you have to think creatively all the time. That's a very nice part of organizing yourself also. Um, the downside is everything depends on you, and the good side is everything depends on you. So you can manage, if you find a way to crack a good idea, to make it get through. You get the benefits of that, not only the economic benefit, but artistic, social, emotional.
Okay. Um, so can you maybe ask, like, what was it like to play tango? Like, what was exciting about it? Yeah, that's just, I'm just interested in this. How did it feel to be a musician like this, or something like that?
um, yeah, I think that my feeling regarding that became mature with the sexteto, in the sense that seeing how you were, I was doing something, not only me, no, but with the group, and how this was affecting the 100, 200, 500 people dancing. You do something, people move. You don't do it, they stop, they change. How we could really be part of something bigger. Um, that was amazing. That was
Mhm.
like a unique experience, um, in how to influence and co-create, like, experience for everybody, us being musicians and the dancers being dancers, and now I am experience it by being a dancer also. So it's a different aspect, of the same thing, and that is that's what I enjoy the most. Of course, I enjoy playing. I enjoy my way of expression, and yeah, it's difficult to define music, no, it's just you play because you play.
Yeah.
But in the social part, I can say, yeah, that was very enriching to me.
Okay. And did you did you really know a lot about the big orchestras from the past when you were playing, or did that come later? Because you were saying you were talking about these seminars that you learned more about the history and stuff. But as a musician, were you already aware of, for example, the value of D'Arienzo, something like that? It's maybe a bit of a fake question, but
um, well, I knew it intuitively because of experience, no, I never sat down in that moment, because um, I was in the water. I don't know how to put it. I was part of the, not only myself, but we were tango in
yeah,
a way. No, Sexteto was tango, Sexteto, any other orchestra. So we were creating or recreating that. Uh, so it was very natural. It came very natural. The feeling of, okay, we do it, and it was our life, and our living, but also what we were doing. And later, when I became organizer, I started to have more an intellectual approach, to understand who was who, how things relate to each other. I knew it as from a perspective of a musician, of course, but that's also a limited perspective. Is it? as a dancer, you see the orchestras in a different way, because what you search, the kind of stimulus that you are searching, is different as a musician. As a musician, you ask me, I sit down, I listen Pugliese. That's the only music that I listen outside of my work, because I can. It's very rich, or maybe Francini, of course, Piazzolla, and some other stuff. But D'Arienzo is the stimulus is dancing, no, is there, or Biaggi or Tanturi. Um, uh, but I'm satisfied with that experience. As listening as a musician has different experience, gives me a different appreciation as listening um, as a dancer. And of course, it sounds D'Arienzo, and I'm like, I want to stand up and dance. Uh, but I must say, I might not play D'Arienzo at home to listen, because yeah, the kind of stimulus that is giving me, I cannot satisfy it. I mean, if I don't have a partner to dance, it doesn't push me. I don't need that with Pugliese or
Right.
Troilo.
But is that simply because the music is more difficult, complicated, complex?
Um,
Is that more interesting for you
yeah,
then as a musician?
it has many layers
Okay.
that you can enjoy. Pugliese has the layer of pam pam pam, but it has much more than that. So you can really think it as a chamber music, no, more intellectual thing.
Yeah.
Um, and D'Arienzo is more based. It's more based, not the bass, the instrument, but also more based in the kind of stimulus. It's more simple. It has far. It reaches more people. No, you don't have to have a deep understanding on music to get the stimulus that D'Arienzo will give you. I'm saying D'Arienzo or Biaggi or these orquestas milongueras, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but listening Pugliese, it has a different level of complexity. That's why it's so difficult for many dancers to dance it, because it's not so direct. It doesn't. It's not here. It's not punching you in the chest. It does sometimes, but it has other elements that you have to consider when you are moving. That if you don't pay attention to that, of course, the dance is very shallow. It's very thin. It doesn't have substance, and well, you need to study to do that.
Okay. So just switching to another topic because of the time. So when you were, for example, in the Sexteto, when you were a violinist, like how did practicing at home look like? Because you learned to play these instruments by practicing and practicing and practicing. I mean, it's a lot of work. But then when you're in orchestra, it's not just constantly having a party. I mean, you also need to know your repertoire and you need to practice. And how did that practice actually look like with tango? Like, um,
Yeah, party is only when it's a party. The rest of the time you are studying like any normal musician. You just
yeah,
sit
yeah,
down,
yeah, yeah.
you study your scales, you study your arpeggios, anything that is includes the classical technique, uh,
Okay.
and uh, and then part of my day would be going to into the repertoire, um, but like bow exercise, for example, you don't study for the bow exercise for reliquias porteñas. It's a milonga. You study the bow exercise, classical music, and you added the tango kind of bow movement. Uh, yeah, nothing specific. I mean, when you know the style, when you know to play tango, you know how to do a phrasing or the articulation of the. Yeah, once you know how to play tango more or less, of course you can. Uh, it's not the same playing D'Arienzo style than playing Pugliese style.
Yeah.
It's a different. What makes Pugliese Pugliese is the way of playing. It's not the music. It's the articulation. Is the length of the notes, how the poses are placed, how the movement of the beat. So yeah, you have to study that at home, but in the ensemble is a big part of the work in tango, especially tango for orquesta típica, is in the ensemble, is in the rehearsal. No, you have
Yeah.
to study your part and know it and practice the tuning, but if you are not matching the intention, the length of the notes, the articulation, yeah, it doesn't sound tango, or it sounds
Okay.
bad tango.
Yeah. But how did that look like at home when you were studying? Did you have some kind of, for example, una emoción or something like when I remember some Sexteto Milonguero song that
Yeah,
they used to
a
play like
hit, a hit of
okay.
the sexteto. What? Not the
Sorry?
sexteto. A hit from the sexteto. It was not from the
Hit.
sexteto.
Okay, hit. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, well, I studied the part, I studied the notes, tuning,
Okay.
then you study the articulation, how you do the dynamics, and then you do it on your own. You can mix it with the classical technique. Um, then we used to get together with the violin with Marisol and practice only the line of the violins to make it fit as good as possible, and then we have rehearsals with the whole group. So we match the two violins, and the bandoneons they used to do the same. It's called fila. Um, you practice in other orchestras. I used to do it, but instead of with two, we were like 5 or 6, and we get together. We set okay how we play this, how we do it, less, more, blah, whatever. We set up the how we want to play it. We study it together. So we used to do scales together sometimes, and then you go to ensemble. Second layer of ensemble is to the orchestra, and then again you readjust uh, the layers. For example, who is more important at some different points, um, dynamic, the speed. um, yeah, if there is something to that is not working in the individual level, you go back home, you study again, you study harder, you talk to your teacher how to help you, then again to the only the strings, and then again to the rehearsal with the whole group. And yeah, it's that, like, continuously doing that. That's how musicians work:
Right.
individual, line, and then a this in tango, and then the ensemble with the orchestra.
Okay. So last question about the music. So do you miss this previous life sometimes?
Mm, yeah, I like it when I see it. I'm not in that place anymore. I don't have that need, so I don't get. I get excited, but I understand the implications of being in traveling or um, practicing, or the life of late sleeping. That's not a minor thing. Um, so I'm very satisfied with the music. I don't feel I I wanted to do more. So I don't miss it really. It's not something I say, the good old days, blah blah blah. No, I have a different source of expression now. That is the dance, um, and I can say almost that I'm a better dancer than I was musician, because I have been doing this now for longer, and I have
Right.
my dance is supported by my experience as a musician. So yeah, I don't miss it in that sense.
Do you still play for yourself?
Yeah, I have a violin. Sometimes I play a little bit. I play for my daughter, but
Okay.
it's not a. I don't need it for the soul. Of course, I would like to play if Sexteto they meet together and they say, well, let's do a one concert, and they invite me to play 1 or 2 songs. I would do it. I would study, but just to do that, I had to study for 3 4 months
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
every
yeah,
day
yeah,
to come back to be more or less fit. Um, so for 2 songs of pleasure, 4 months of study, I'm not sure if I am willing to do it now.
yeah,
Especially because the violin I stopped playing in 2011, so it's more than 10 years now. You lose a lot, especially the tuning, and of course, if it's untuned, it's horrible.
yeah.
So
Okay. So you decided to pick a different destiny for your life,
mhm.
different destination. And did you just say like I'm going to quit this and then do whatever, or did you really know already what the alternative was for being a professional musician?
Well, I when I decided to stop playing, um, I more or less had the idea on where to put my energy. As I said, I got married, and my partner at that time, my wife at that time, she was a dancer. She's still a dancer, and we said, I was already dancing for a few years. Uh, we said maybe it would be good to do something together, so we can work and spend more time and have family. Uh, and yeah, sort of we agree with that. And I was training already uh, a lot of tango with her. I was taking lessons in Buenos Aires. I was also taking contemporary dance lessons to become a better dancer, general base. Um, yeah, and this was around 2011. I think that was my last concert. And soon after, we decided to move to Europe uh, because my ex, now is ex, we are separated. She's she was from London.
Ah, okay, that's why you moved to. Okay,
Yeah, we moved to London. We lived there for almost
but you met her in Argentina.
yes, in Argentina. She went to live in Argentina
Ah, okay,
to learn tango, to yeah, to have the full experience, full tango experience. She went for 3 months and she stayed 7 years. Uh,
okay.
she came back to with an Argentinian even. And then
You mean? Yeah,
yes,
like
yes,
that's the moment she came back to London. So you went
yeah,
together, and
exactly.
that's after the 7 years that you
Yeah,
stayed there.
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we moved in 2012 to London. Um, she was, yeah, she's British. We decided to move there. I was uh, quite an obvious option for us because of the language, because of a familiar place. Tango in London was good at that time, and we decided to move. We had a place to land softly. I mean, a house. Um, so we moved there. We opened our school. We had our milonga that's still running the milonga, and once a month I go to London now. Um, yeah, all the classical thing: milongas, group lessons, performance, private lessons. Uh, Not that much traveling because being in the UK, it was very good for us in terms of work. Um, we had a very successful milonga on Saturdays for now it's 9 years, 7 years and a corona, let's say. Um, yeah, we had our students full lessons, and then we decided to have a baby, and it made a lot of sense to keep building in the local community, and London is big enough for that, or it was at least before corona. So we were settled there for 5 years, and yeah, we still have a lot of connections. In fact, I'm going on Friday to work in London to run the milonga, private lessons, workshops.
Okay, okay. And well, you had to learn a lot again, right? Like you kind of threw yourself into the deep end with the violin in your life because you were studying something else. You're just following the normal path. Then you decided to become a musician, and now you left the music business, and then you had to reinvent yourself again,
Hmm.
probably with a lot of work because you don't become a teacher from one day to the other, right?
No. Um, yeah, well, I was lucky that I had a base with the music. My understanding of music obviously was uh, good, good, or better than the average, let's say. Um, and I was already working with different body technique awareness, like Alexander technique in Buenos Aires. So that helped me a lot. And of course, tango. Tango. You can learn all tango from tango. You don't need anything else. Of course, contemporary, classic, Alexander, everything helps, but you can learn. Now the tango technique is complex and it's been analyzed enough to be self-contained. So, but everything that I was doing in the side really helped me to yeah, to be faster in the process,
Yes.
if I can say. And yeah, practice, 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 practice. There's no secret. You just practice.
Yes. So
This is not.
did you already have some kind of affinity with dancing before that? Not just dancing tango, but like you seem to be quite interested in movement and dancing. Like
Well, dancing was near me. Let's say in my life, I had um, some girlfriends being dancers, for example, ballet dancer, contemporary dancer. But it was familiar, very familiar, and very close. But I never thought it was for me.
ah yeah, yeah.
When I started to dance tango, and I started saying, "Oh, I like this. This is good." So it felt really good. Obviously, anybody who dances tango understand that. Um, and then of course, again, I was a little bit ignorant about how good I was. I thought obviously that I was better than I actually was, um, and that helped me to cushion the time when I was learning, because yeah, tango is a difficult dance,
Yeah.
complex. It's very rich. It can give you a lot, but you have to put time, and this time is years. It's not a year or 6 months or once a week. It's every day for many years, like any other professional activity.
If you want to become a teacher, you mean?
Yeah, if you want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
become a
yeah, yeah,
professional,
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. If you do it as a hobby, that's of course what most people do, and that's absolutely fine. But um, the um, the pleasure that you can take from it is less. It's like anything, no. The more you understand the subtleties of something, you can enjoy more, or less, depending if you are very critical, no. But that took me a long time. Of course, when I was in London, I also studied Alexander technique to become a teacher. That was a 3 years training that really helped me to open my body movement awareness. So I can say a big part of my tango comes from the Alexander technique, and it was like a third kind of training. I was there 1600 hours, so I was there every day for 3-4 hours for
Sorry,
three
what
years.
for Alexander technique?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
Alexander
okay, okay,
technique, I was studying 3-4 hours every day in the school for
okay.
3 years
But you
every
mean
day.
as a normal student or to
Yeah,
become a teacher or
yeah,
just
to
as a
become
new?
to become a teacher of Alexander technique.
Okay, but it's like an official type of education, or is it just
Official, no, it's like I don't know. People is in the border, because it's not a recognized activity officially, like to be a physiotherapist, but
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
physiotherapy, because it's not physiotherapy. The standards of movement, the standard, I don't know how to describe it. It's not within the normal curriculum of study for body activities, in at least not regulated in the UK.
Okay.
So if you study, it's like a private education. You do it. It's like studying, I don't know, astrology
Yeah.
comes to my mind. No, there's no official recognition for that. You cannot enter to work anywhere. Some places in the UK have like a theater, um, drama schools.
Okay.
Most drama schools have an Alexander technique teacher to help them to work with their own body from a deep our perspective. Some schools, music schools also, dancing schools also. So everybody who works with the body professionally, performers, benefit a lot from Alexander technique. And yeah, also in Europe and the rest of Europe, I mean, now here in the Netherlands, is the Codarts, that is a school of arts in Rotterdam. They have an Alexander technique teacher. I know that in Amsterdam also, the University for Dancing, they have it. Um, but still, it's a small niche.
Yes, yes. And how did you get into contact with that?
Well, I used to have shoulder problem like most musicians.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
very interesting. I was during the interview. I was wondering, did you ever get any problems with violin playing? But
yeah. Most musicians have something or many things.
many
So
things.
yeah. Uh, so I tried everything because I had like a chronic tendonitis in my shoulder. That was also one of the reasons why I stopped playing, because I was like in pain almost constantly.
Okay.
Um, so having to be in painkillers all the time is not very good.
No.
It's not very pleasant, of course. Um, so I tried everything and nothing really make a difference. And somebody recommend Alexander technique. Um, a violinist, Ramiro Gallo, is well known. I said, I have this problem. I said, yeah, I have this same problem, and I am dealing with Alexander technique. I started with lessons, and in 2 months, the pain was like half. So this was 2008. Yes, and then I was taking regular lessons, some courses, and when I moved to the UK, I decided, okay, this is my chance to do this, because UK is the best place for studying Alexander technique. There are
Yeah.
like there used to be 7 schools in London only.
Okay.
There it was the base for Matthias Alexander, the creator of the technique. So most of the schools were run, not now because they are all gone, but run by direct students of Alexander himself. So the level was super high, or the highest that you can get. And here in the Netherlands, you can study also in Amsterdam to become a teacher, as far as I remember. And yeah, that with the music and with the practicing a lot with my ex, Maral. Yes, here I am.
Yes. Yeah. So that's everything. Well, you also practiced it with her. She
Yeah,
also
of
learned
course.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She's
I thought you referred to just tango, but you mean also the Alexander technique. You
no, no, no. But
did it
Alexander
both.
technique a little bit less, but with tango,
Okay.
yes. If 40% of my tango is Alexander technique, 40
Okay.
the other
Nice.
40% is her intervention.
Okay. But you mean currently still?
Yeah.
Okay.
I learn a lot. She was already a professional dancer when we met, with experience with ballet, contemporary yoga. She's a yoga teacher also. Um, so she was a full dancer when we met, and I was only a musician. So I learned a lot. It's like luxury,
Yes.
to learn from a professional dancer all the time.
Yeah, I was just trying to say that it can be so influential in people's lives what your partner does and what your partner can
Yeah.
bring,
Oh, yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
and especially with there's a lot of highly talented people in tango, and then when they get together, they they kind of exchange their other knowledge. That's
Yeah.
very interesting. And so you became a tango teacher in London, and just to close off for today, um, so you then moved to the Netherlands.
Yes.
You are based here now and teaching here now.
I'm based in Rotterdam,
Okay.
teaching. I have a milonga. I teach also. I have a new partner. He's a friend and a new partner also. I work in Amersfoort, in Chick to Chick, the school.
Okay.
And sometimes I teach in other cities, like in Amsterdam, The Hague. I have been performing now in Leiden and The Hague and Rotterdam. and yeah, I also DJ. That was part of my um, activities when I had my Milong in London, and I keep doing it. It's not my main activity, but I really like it, and yeah, I have a lot of fun with that also. And yeah, now I'm, as many tango schools and professionals, trying to rebuild after
Yes.
Corona
Yes.
with the new projects. I'm trying to put together what we want to call Casa Argentina of Rotterdam, that it would be something like a cultural center with a base in Argentinian activities like tango, Argentine folklore. We
Oh,
have been
nice.
run, yeah, we have been running also peñas. Peñas are like milongas but with folklore. There are, I have very good musicians, friends here from Argentina who play folklore and tango also. Um, yes, and yeah, we are. It's a project in the making. In the meantime, we are promoting ourselves by performing with Luciana, my new partner, and yeah, teaching in different places, and yeah, hoping that things remain as they are
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
get
yeah,
better,
yeah,
and people start to come back dancing, yeah, like anyone else, because this has been quite disruptive.
yeah, yeah.
And I am going to London regularly to teach because I have like a more solid base. There I have many private students and friends, and
Yes, everything you built up.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a more solid ground in that sense, because I was there for 5 years, and when we moved here, mm, soon after, we were starting to get comfortable, and then Corona came to disrupt us. Uh, but yeah, I'm confident that things are going to get better, and yeah, we have a good energy put into that.
Well, if there's one thing I've learned from your past is that you learned how to organize yourself really well, and this is constantly necessary in all the activities you're trying to do, because you always need like the it sounds a bit pretentious, but like the entrepreneurial things you can do, like the repertoire you have, the experience you have, you're constantly using that in this, even though it has to do with arts and culture. It's still,
Yeah,
you need a roof over your head. So, I mean, you can do everything for free, obviously. So you have to find ways, just like in your musician times, you also have to find ways to. I mean, it's really fun if you have a band, but you also need to be able to project yourself and to market yourself.
yeah,
And yeah, it's yeah, just it seems like a lot of things in your life that just naturally flow like within the exchange in a way,
hmm
and yeah, that's how you use all your life experience to be successful in the present. Uh, so that's very
yeah.
very interesting.
It's it flows, but there is a, I build the channels. No, it's I'm not being pretentious. It's like you have to do it if you want to be independent. You have to learn how to do it. It's being independent is not just working by yourself. It's being creative, trying to see the chances. One of the reasons why we moved to the Netherlands is we saw that, for example, very practical again. Uh, Brexit was going to affect a lot the country, and in fact, is doing it. Tango in the UK is being harmed a lot, not
Okay.
only because of Corona, but also because a lot of EU dancers are not going anymore.
You
So,
mean they moved away or they don't
or they
go
don't.
dancing?
They used to be like two ways, no, in the UK, and this is different thing. But um, uh, a lot of people move out of London, but a lot of people were moving in to London
Yeah,
from the European Union. I mean, no,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Italians and Greeks and community, like all the community or big part of the community in tango in London is by foreigners from the foreigners. I'm a foreigner myself. I mean, not British people, no,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
from Italy, Spain, whatever, Germany. Um, and now that that door is closed, or pretty much closed. So people are leaving, but no new people are coming back.
Like that. Yeah.
So we saw that, and we thought that was going to be a problem, and we like Netherlands. It's a liberal country. You can live your life. Nobody cares. If you want to get close, you can get close. If you want to have your space, and that's something that we really appreciate from here. We like the education in the Netherlands for our kid. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and the whole of Europe is very easy to reach. 5 hours you are in Paris, 2 hours in Brussels. So I think it's for many reasons, practical reasons, but also social reasons, is a right place to be.
Okay.
So that's why we are settling and we are building up.
You don't miss Argentina?
No, I don't miss Argentina.
Okay.
The Argentina that I miss is gone. I know it because all my friends are in Europe now. Most of my friends are musicians and dancers. And yeah, I miss some things that had to be with the culture. But as Atahualpa Yupanqui used to say, if I miss La Pampa, I get the guitar, I play, and the Pampa is there. So if I miss something, I play Pugliese or I read Borges, and I have my Argentinian friends here. So yeah, that's part of the life. I'm a little bit from everywhere and from nowhere at the same time, and I accept that fact, and that's fine.
Okay.
I'm not so attached, although I'm absolutely a product of my culture. I know it very well. I don't miss it. I'm open for new things.
Okay. Well, thank you for today. So our plan is to continue talking about some more things. To go a bit more in depth on some things of the later part of the interview, because we went really deep into this musician thing. There are also other things to discuss about your life after that and your teaching. Yeah, but thanks for today.
Thank you.
And
I hope.
Well, I wish you the best in these difficult times. And
thank you.
Well, thanks for telling your story. Goodbye.
Thank you. Yeah, goodbye. See